What you're looking at is News 12 video from December 8th, 1981 at mine number 21 on Whitwell Mountain. That was the night a huge explosion rocked the mountain and 13 miners lost their lives.
My name is J.T. Shadrick, and I was working at mine 32 the day that the explosion happened when I got the call to come to 21.
Jewel Shadrick. I was a maintenance man, electrical man there.
Emergency rescue teams equipped with air tanks and masks crawled through a shaft that was only 36 inches wide in some places, but it was all to no avail.
My name is Jimmy Holtzclaw. I was section foreman on 008 Mine 21 of the day of the explosion, day shift.
What's up, Dam Nation? Steven the Dam Guide here. So for this week's video, we're actually going to be learning the story of the Mine 21 disaster here in Marion County, Tennessee. Almost 40 years ago, during the winter of 1981, on December 8th, 13 miners started their day working for the Tennessee Consolidated Coal Company at Grundy Mining Company's mine number 21. What they didn't know was their ride into the 32-inch tall mine, which is only this tall, would be the last time they would see the sun. Around noon, while the workers were drilling in improperly ventilated section 003 of the mine, which is 3 miles deep, they entered an invisible pocket of highly flammable methane gas. Unknowing that they were in this deadly pocket of gas, which has no smell, no taste, and no color, one of the workers put a cigarette in his mouth, pulled out his cigarette lighter, and the ignition from that cigarette lighter caused a fiery explosion that burned at over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It became one of the worst modern mining incidents on record. Today, we are going to hear the story of the Mine 21 disaster, told by those that lived it firsthand.
This is mine 21 right here.
That is the entrance.
And that was the last map that was sent into the government and asked them to approve us to close it up. You just can't walk off and leave a mines all open. So, no, this is what we want you to do. It's showing that we will cover all the entrances with dirt seals.
So that
nobody can get in there. And they reclaimed it and sealed it back up.
And the red pen.
But it went from here.
And the red pen is the site of the explosion.
So if you could imagine, this is 1 inch equals 200 feet. So here is 200 feet. If you could imagine, we went in right here. And we went up. We went to what we call fifth right. And we turn right and come down to third right then and come down. And we was probably into this general area right in here when we first seen evidence of the explosion. And then right here, one of these little areas here is where they cut into it and the mine exploded out of one of these two sections right there.
That was approximately 3 miles.
3 miles. And what was the headspace for most of that travel?
36 inches.
36 inches most of the way there?
Yeah.
Our coal seam in this general area here, from the time they opened it up in 1870 till we closed it up in 97, it averages 37 inches. Now, I have seen it when it was 8 foot tall. I've actually seen it when it was a pencil mark and we were beating the rock and trying to get through to it because we knew sooner or later it'll open back up.
Do you know where the Marion County School Board building is located in Jasper? The white building?
Yeah.
That was Tennessee Consolidated's main office.
Oh,
And if you look at the bottom of that building, it's black. That was to represent the average height of our co-seam. So when you go home, stop there and look at that.
definitely will do.
Yeah.
And one thing that actually kind of struck home big time for me, you know, being the historian for Hell's Bar, is I look across the river from Hell's Bar and I see a big sign on the old log building
Yes.
that says Tennessee Consolidated.
Yes.
So is that way they would bring the coal to load it up on the river?
That's where it was loaded, shipped to Japan and other places in the world, the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It went to New Orleans from there now, and then from New Orleans they put it on bigger ships to Japan, wherever it went.
Wherever.
Oh, yeah.
They moved me from the mines one time
Mhm.
and sent me to work down there, and I worked at the barges there. That was one job that I was scared to death that I was going to fall between those barges.
Oh, yeah.
And when those things are moving, there's no way that you could have swam to got out from away from it. It would squeeze you.
Mhm.
But I was tickled to death when they finally moved me off of the barges and sent me back to the mountain to go underground.
This is the actual, one of the actual mine rescue team's units that we wore in the recovery of Mine 21. When I talk about going under mast, just like your firemen, we would go under mast with oxygen. Of course, we have an oxygen tank in here and have a filter coil in there too. So I tell you, this lasts 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours.
No, Jim. We was underground at that time there. It was good for about 8 or 10 hours, if
Yeah.
you remember.
But
It's an oxygen supply. Okay, it recirculated the oxygen, so when you breathe, it would bring it back out.
yeah.
So if you got tired or anything and something, get dizzy or something, you know your oxygen is low, you could reach back and give this thing here, get an extra shot of oxygen right off and
Get a booster.
boost your
Oh, yeah.
booster.
And we used it quite often.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
Because wearing this in 36-inch coal, and it weighs about 50 pounds.
Every miner had a hard hat, and in particular, now this was Jimmy Holtzclaw's personal cap, and his name is embedded here. This was his battery and his self-rescuer that every miner had to carry. So
That is really cool. So this is a battery here.
that is the battery.
For your light.
And this would have been the charger that he would have plugged his light up to, you know, to charge it for 8 or 10, 12 hours, you know, while he was going home. When he came back in and started underground, you automatically pulled your light out, and then that shows that you're underground. So if something happens, he don't come back and his light don't show back up, they know he's underground somewhere or another. These pictures are lifelike, and you know, some of them were taken underground any way we could get them now, and that's what we was interested in. You take this man here, Lee Grimes, this man here, Mort Cooley, Ed French, Jackie Tate, and by the way, now these pictures here was taken in 1979 in the actual mines that blew up. So that's why you see them like here. And you say Jackie Tate here, he was here. Harvey Nolan got killed. Jesse Dalton had been sent to another mines. So he wasn't one of them. Then we had Larry Cooley. Here's Jimmy Wayne Rogers under the porta-bus that Joel was talking about earlier. Now this is the unit that we went underground with. You could actually get 7 men in the front of it. You could get 7 men in the back of it. So you could take 14 men at one time. If you could imagine, this unit here is actually 22 inches tall.
Dang, and you got 14 people in.
and you laid down and you start rolling. They had an oblong hole cut in it. You just got in it here and you rolled over to this side, and the next man would roll over, and you laid down in it and looked out the window. Here's J.B. Kilgore. Here's Charlie Myers, Darrell Rollins, Galen Parsons, Roy Mule White. That's all of them but one. We don't have a picture of Frankie Wilburn. If anybody sees this and can get me a picture of Frankie Wilburn, please, please, please send it to me or call me or something, and we will make a copy of it some way or another.
Definitely so.
This lump of coal actually came out of 21. I took it off the belt. My mother-in-law lives in Corinth, Mississippi. She wanted a lump of coal put on her hearth in front of her fireplace. So I got her that nice lump of coal, and I washed it up real good, and I shellacked it real good and gave it to her. Well, after her death, I got it and brought it back home. And this is his home until Jesus comes right now.
And you said that
It's actually sulfur. I called it fool's gold.
oh, it's sulfur?
Yes. Little specks in there, you can see it.
I really didn't realize what was going on because the telephone call only said, JT, this is Hollis Rogers, and get in touch with Henry Melton up on the section there. It works at your mines, and tell him that we need you all immediately at mine 21. That was all the information I had, so I got in touch with Henry, and I told Henry to appoint somebody to be the boss of his section while we were gone. Don't leave them without a boss. So, Henry, when you get outside, I'll be gone already. So, I left and went to mine 21. And at that time there, well then, when I got there, well then, they pulled me to the side and told me that there had been some kind of an accident or something on 003 section. And we had 13 miners that they couldn't account for, they couldn't contact, and the federal government has done been called. They are on their way, and it has been turned over to the mine rescue team. And the mine rescue team, you know, we worked different shifts, and I was all lucky, one of the lucky ones, you know, and I worked day shift, but we had some of them that worked second shift. Some of them had worked third shift, and actually they may have not even been in the bed yet. So they had to start calling them and to call them come into work, and they without any sleep. So we reported to work. So when all 14 of us got to mine 21, then which as we showed up, we went to doing the things that we had been trained to do, such as we put guards on the fan house where nobody could turn the fan off. We put guards on the power centers or nobody could turn no power back underground. We sent people to the top of the hill to stop all the spectators from coming in. So we were doing all the things that we were trying to do. So when all 14 of us got there, then they took us into the office and showed us the mine map and showed us the area that where these 13 men were at. You should find them in this area here sometime or another when we get there.
I had to have a person with me at all times, because a lot of times we go to a mines with nobody be there. And you can't be at a mine by yourself to go underground or anything, but he's since then he's deceased. We had went over that morning is having trouble with one of the porter buses that carries men in and out. And her job that day was to go underground with them and bring it back outside and change it over to a solid state system, which gives you longer endurance and your battery power and all that. But anyway, we got over, and evidently they had gone underground 2 or 3 minutes early that morning. We missed them, and we were still outside. we're still waiting, you know. Maybe later we could get it on in that day, you know, and change it all over, but we never did. And I'm just thankful, thank to God, that when the explosion happened, you've got little sensors and different gadgets on your power centers that if anything happens, they take a lid or anything off a power center, it kills the power at the whole mine underground. And that, I'm just thank God that that did happen and it killed the power, you know. And of course, Jim and them was all left up there without any power or anything, you know. And I don't think it was too long till they got the fan back going, was it?
I don't recall the fan ever going off.
Yeah, it went off.
But I don't.
Boo would cut it back on there because
Yeah.
he was outside with us.
Well, he probably got it back on so quick. I didn't
Yeah.
really. I had other things on my mind.
But he said the power's off, and we told him not to fool with it.
Yeah.
And so that's the basic part that I had to do with it. Of course, we had to go back underground then after the explosion when they started checking all the equipment and trying to find out what caused the explosion, which they did. But every splice and every cable had to be cut off. Every piece of equipment had to take the boxes, lids off the boxes, and check for all that stuff. See, and was in pretty decent shape, and that way, you know. But things happen, you know.
It was. We was having a real good coal run. I mean, we were really putting the coal out that day. And right at 12 o'clock, my ears popped and the power went off. And I thought, well, we've had a fall somewhere on the 4160 and it's killed the power. Because usually when you have a large fall, you get a back flash of air pressure and it'll pop your ears. And then one of my tractor drivers came back to the face while I was working and he says, Jimmy, they want you on the phone. They think they've had an explosion or something up on 003. So I go down to the phone and I'm talking to the people outside, and we decided it was best at that time to evacuate the mines because a lot of uncertainties. And of course, I was on the rescue team and I went outside and helped start calling in the people that needed to be there. And before I knew it, we had a parking lot full of vehicles and federal agencies and the mine rescue fellows were coming in. Nobody knew exactly what had happened, and this was a day that we'd been practicing for. Never thinking or hoping that we would never have to use what we have trained for. But, you know, a lot of times people say, well, that'll never happen to me. Well, it does happen to me. And it did happen December the 8th of 1981 at 12 o'clock. We had a mine explosion. And once we, like JT said, once we got everybody there and the federal people arrived, we loaded up all of our equipment. We went inside. We formed us a fresh air base. We went as far as we could go without our mask or our going under oxygen. We established us a fresh air base, and in a group of us, we had to sit down and discuss what we were going to do. And at that time, the first team went under mask, and we started working toward the face where the explosion had happened. Of course, we worked our way up, found that there were no survivors. And then we'd come back down to the fresh air base. And at that time, we had to call outside so the families could be notified, which It was a hard thing to do for anybody. And of course, we sent the second team back up under mask to ventilate and to inspect a little bit more and get some more information that we needed. And then as we went back up, taking the fresh air with us, knowing that there was no explosion gases in danger. You gotta understand methane. It was, methane's tasteless, has no color, has no smell. It explodes between 5 and 15%. And at 10%, that's the highest peak of the power for this, of the explosion. And it was estimated that that explosion and the heat and the fire reached 3,200 degrees. So, of course, you wouldn't expect no survivors with anything like that. But it's been devastating for a lot of people all these years. It'll be 40 years come December. So these are things that we've carried with us all of our lives. We'll carry it with us the rest of our life. We still have dreams about it. Just like these young men going to war, seeing things that I wouldn't wish on nobody. We saw things. We smelled things. We still smell it. We can still see it. We can still hear it. And we wake up at night, cold sweats after a dream. It's just something you can't wash out of your mind. I wish we could forget it. And maybe one day when the good Lord calls us home, all those things won't matter at all anymore. And we can live a glorious life in heaven with God Almighty and rejoice with our families and friends. And things like that won't matter to us anymore.
Amen.
That explosion just didn't affect the 13 families. It affected the whole area. There were 3 counties here that was really affected by that explosion: Grundy, Marion, and Sequatchie. And it was a big impact on the children in school. They knew what was going on. And a lot of the little children in school, it was their fathers were in there, or their grandfather. Families just have suffered all these years with it. And they're just things that we carry with us, and it hurts sometimes.
This thing that happened with your friends at Topmost, does that still bother you even yet today?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's just been a devastating part of my life. It's been hard to deal with for 30 years. It's just something that you just can't forget. You know, when you lose 8 of your good friends at one time, it's hard. Let alone losing one.
All right.
We were in Illinois in a contest, and we had just competed. And when we come back out, well, we were picking up our equipment, you know, and putting our breathing apparatuses back in there. Okay? And this federal inspector, he came to Hollis. I don't know where you've ever heard me tell this before. He came to Hollis and he said, "Mr. Rogers, if I'm ever in a mine disaster, I want this group of men right here to come and get us." He said, "They're good." And we represented what we believed in. We believed in mankind and taking care of everybody.
It's like the Marines. No soldier left behind.
We didn't leave them behind.
The night of the explosion, we had another team that flew in by helicopter, National Guard helicopter, to mines up here. They were our backups. And they sent word to us, if you fellas come on out, we'll go back up in and recover the bodies for you, so you won't have to do that. It didn't take us long. We grouped up. Said, no, they're our brothers. We'll take them out. We didn't leave that night until all of our brothers were outside the mines. And, no man left behind.
No man left behind.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was a new type of video, but I knew that I had to make it. It's just such an amazing story with these amazing people that actually lived through it firsthand. Make sure you guys check in the description below and join our Discord server, where you can actually get access to videos 30 minutes before anyone else does, as well as behind the scenes content, and I jump in there and talk every once in a while, so it's a great way to get in contact with me. We actually have merchandise now, so that link is in the description as well. Make sure to join our Patreon if you're looking for a way to support the channel. And a huge shout out to the Whitwell, Marion County's Coal Miners Museum. That is where this entire video was filmed at. They let me come in free of charge. They never charge admission, guys. You can just show up there and they'll take you through free of charge. I dropped off a donation there. That's how they survive, is through donations. So I appreciate, you know, them trying to educate further generations. They are a dying breed, so if you are ever in the area, please swing by there, or at least check them out in the description below. It's very, very cool. Amazing people. I wish you all a happy morning, afternoon, evening, or night. From your friend, TheDamGuide, goodbye, and I'll see you next time.
Picks up his lunch, starts for the door. Kisses his sweet wife goodbye, like he had so many times before. He starts off to work, not knowing what's coming his way. There's trouble down in mine 21. He won't be coming home today. And he's a coal mining man, trying to get by. Little does he know that today it'll cost him his life. At that coal mine now, you won't hear a sound. But if you listen real close, you might hear the ghost of 13 coal mining men. If you listen real close, you might hear the ghost of 13